Hello everybody and welcome to this week's episode of Ash vs. the Evil Wed, which is the one-stop, quite literal chop shop of horror content as curated by you guys, where you send in your ideas for lists in the comment section below or to the sidebar to one of these sides in the Premiere chat, hello to everyone in there, and it gets taken and churned up and smoothed out into a nice dough that then rises and cooks into a beautiful loaf of content as presented by me. So here is your hot buttery slice for today. Hello everyone. I hope you're doing well. Just to start off with some admin, because we all love admin, and lists, which is why we're actually on one right now. Lists, admin, all go together lovely. Basically, this is the last week that you're going to get a pre-recorded piece of office content from me, and next week it's going to be the quite literal homemade stuff. Like, obviously we're in the homemade zone right now anyway with these intros and outros, but yeah, the whole list is going to be made from home. So please keep on sending your ideas. Please keep sending me lovely stuff that you guys want to see, and it's going to get churned up in my creepy little flat into more good stuff. So good things to come as ever. It's always exciting times on Ash vs. the Evil Wed. Tune in next week, guys. Woohoo! But also stay here for this week because we're going to talk about more exciting horror stuff. We're talking about villains again. We did that last week. We're doing it this week again with short movie horror villains because they are the free sample of the horror world. You just take a bite, see if you like it, and then hopefully they get the big long movie treatment. So yeah, these are the ones that we want to see on the big screen, that deserve a spot on the big screen, that are just original, wonderful, great creations. I like them. I hope you like them. Here's a list full of them. So let's start up this bad boy of an evil Wednesday, shall we? Whew. I am the feature-length Ash from What Culture, which is very funny because I am big and tall and long like a feature-length movie. Yes, I am Ash. I am the feature-length version of Ash from What Culture, and these are 10 horror short villains who deserve their own movies. Now, I'm counting myself as number 11 because this is a weekly horror short, so there we go. Cast me in your horror movie. Number 11 right here. But actually here is a real top 10 that's good and interesting, so enjoy. 10. Childer. I have a question for you guys, which doesn't really matter because this is pre-recorded and I'm going to answer it myself anyway, but still, what is super creepy? That's right, children. And what's even creepier than children? That is right, children who live in the forest. And perhaps the highest level of creepy is forest-dwelling children in realistic animal masks. If you got all that right, then well done. This was a very specific quiz that you again couldn't answer because I answered it anyway. So well done anyway, well done. Childer is a brilliant little film. It is beautifully paced and there are precisely 0 jump scares, which is always a plus for defying convention. And it relies solely on building claustrophobic tension towards a gradual reveal of just how unhinged one mother can be. It would be great to see this on the big screen just so the lore behind the Childer can be explored in much greater depth. Yes, they're creepy as all hell, and it is sort of suggested what their deal is by the end of the film, but learning more about them and letting them have more screen time would be nothing short of a blessing. A creepy, horrible, terrible blessing. 9. Abe. Oh boy, have I got 2 words for you. One is robot, and the other is serial killer. It's 3 words, but it's still a very cool premise, so we're gonna let that off. Okay. Abe is one creepy little mechanical dude, it has to be said, with the concept behind his character being incredibly simple. The standard stalking, toxic, narcissistic nature of your average serial killer has just been copied and pasted onto a robot. It's actually kind of hard to just flat out call Abe evil, unlike how you probably would any human behaving this way. Like any machine, he simply follows his programming, and unfortunately he was not programmed to cope with someone falling out of love with him. Also, as a machine, he simply assumes they are broken and he can fix them, which requires getting inside. Honestly, this character opens up so many questions and is just so intriguing that he deserves much more than 7 minutes on screen. 8. Model family. This is one more entry for the kids are absolutely terrifying and should not exist category of horror movie, because Hayley is an absolutely horrifying kid, like Damien from The Omen level creepy. She's a violin virtuoso because being a genius is always a serial killer trait for kids, and a complete and utter sociopath who murdered her entire family in cold blood. Except for her dad, who she was nice enough to just keep in the corner, bound and gagged, so he can watch her practice playing violin. Also, she plays video games next to the corpse of her older brother, which is some form of bonding. As gruesomely entertaining as this short is, and kind of pitch black funny, we just don't get enough time with Hayley. It would be amazing to see what exactly the family dynamic was like before a decision to pick each of them off. In fact, it'd be great to see how she interacts with other human beings more in general, as there's loads here that could be done with Hayley's aggressive tendencies. 7. The Birch. This one involves witchcraft, and who doesn't love a bit of good old-fashioned witchcraft, right? It is the damn hallmark of good cinema. Ask the craft. This is maybe cheating with the title a bit because the character of the Birch is actually introduced to us as a guardian for a downtrodden, bullied young boy. However, it's not exactly a massive stretch of the imagination to assume that this seemingly benevolent tree guardian could easily become villainous and bloodthirsty, or at least be posited that way at first. Come on, man, the kid summoned the thing via a creepy voodoo ritual. Name a single time that ever went the way you expected. Beyond just the narrative beats though, the creature just looks awesome. It is gigantic, looming and menacing as all hell, and the looping twisted knots of wood that make up its body just look amazing. Aesthetically speaking, it even screams of something Guillermo del Toro would dream up of, which, speaking of, hey Guillermo, do another mama and get the Birch onto the big screen. 6. The Dollmaker. Now, one of the many key rules of horror is this. Dolls and puppets of any kind are horrifying and the utter goddamn worst. Them and children, but the feelings on those hell beasts have been made known. The Dollmaker is already rolling in creepy points by mixing with them both, and that is without taking into consideration the fact that the titular character is unsettling, charismatic, and enigmatic all in equal measure. A man that makes your wishes come true, but with a catch, which appeals greatly to a couple that have lost their son. The reason the Dollmaker deserves a movie of his own is because he doesn't necessarily have to be depicted as an out-and-out villain. Sure, that is the one direction you could go in, but it seems somewhat safe. The other direction to go in is the one that is already kind of hinted at in the short. The Dollmaker has more than a hint of the Twilight Zone about it. If done right, this film could be a brilliant exploration of grief and how it's necessary to confront it rather than try and reverse time, with the Dollmaker at the very centre. 5. The Stylist. Another entry wherein our villain is not your standard, clear-cut baddie. We've no ghoul or ghost or monster here, just a woman working as a stylist. Okay, to be fair, she does scalp people sometimes when it takes her fancy, but who hasn't had a hankering for some scalping at a party every now and then? Anyway, the Stylist feels like it cuts off before we get any sort of satisfactory explanation as to why the titular character does what she does. It's certainly hinted at towards the end of the film that the reason is to do with her own unhappiness in regards to her sense of self-worth, but it would be great to see this character's background and psyche fleshed out a little bit more. If this were to be done, then the Stylist could potentially become a meditation and analysis of body dysmorphia, albeit in a truly gruesome fashion, that is. 4. Pig. Honestly, each and every one of the serial killers in this deserve their time on the silver screen. This is so ridiculously stupid and fun that it would be a crime if this weren't given the feature-length treatment. There are certainly vibes of Tucker and Dale vs. Evil in Pig. The influence is very clear, but this time around there is no confusion at all. These guys are very much out to murder partying teenagers, but one of them just isn't feeling it this time around. This idea of killers being psychotic, deranged lunatics with no empathy or regular emotions has been so ingrained into our collective minds as the classic trope that the idea of a serial killer being self-conscious about his mass drawing attention to his weight is beyond absurd and utterly hilarious. Not only that, but the fact that his cohorts are quick to try and reassure him by listing heavy-set serial killers and then reminisce about how awesome his previous murders have been is just genius. Please, if there is a god, let these psychopaths come to a cinema near us. 3. He took off his skin for me. This entry is more about a villainous entity rather than a flesh and blood villain. But don't get me wrong, there is an awful lot of flesh and blood in this little movie. Not only that, but this entity is one that should be pretty much universal to all. Although this film is surreal and weird and, let's face it, kind of gross, I mean, come on, a dude pulls his skin off for his girlfriend, the central message behind it is still completely relatable. That being that we all need to learn when it is time to call it quits in a relationship that clearly isn't working, rather than go to increasingly crazy lengths to keep the relationship going instead. The villain of He Took Off His Skin for Me is not the skinless boyfriend. It is not even the girlfriend who demanded that he peel himself like an orange to keep her happy. The villain of this short is the unfortunate, ignorant attitude that most of us have in toxic relationships, that they are worth saving no matter what, even if that means mutilating ourselves, be that physically or mentally. And that is an evil that deserves to be explored in much greater depth. 2. Being. Okay, I'm putting this out there first and foremost. Drinking water from a lake is gross no matter what. However, I imagine it is far worse when you end up inviting in a violent, malevolent spirit into your life after drinking said dirty lake water. That there, folks, is worse than a stomach bug by quite a fair bit, no matter how shitty you get. What makes the lake spirit in Being stand out from your other moist, dark-haired ghouls, which there are a myriad of in the world of cinema, is the way that it operates and what it seems to feed off of. Unlike other evil spirits who attack indiscriminately or exclusively attack with a certain idea in mind, this being seems to attach to a person, which is not to be mistaken with a host as they are not possessed, but it doesn't directly attack this person at any point. It goes on to kill everyone in the victim's life, and once it's done feeding, for lack of a better word, the victim is drawn into the lake and drowns themselves. It is insanely difficult to make a malevolent spirit even vaguely distinctive these days without it just being a Ring or Grudge ripoff, so kudos to this title for pulling it off with aplomb. Bravo. 1. Alma. This marks another entry for this list wherein the villain is more of an entity than a tangible monster of any kind, but then again, aren't those the scariest of all? After all, the monster in the closet is only scary because you don't know what it looks like. Also, as if you needed any more proof that Pixar turn everything they touch to gold, we don't talk about cars, they only went and showed that they can even do horror as well. Is there anything they can't do? Alma is already such a beautifully, tightly structured and unsettling little film, but there is a lot that could be expanded upon. Yes, brevity is a source of all wit or whatever old Billy Shakespeare said, but whatever the hell it is that creates the dolls in Alma really deserves the big screen treatment. There's just so much mystery surrounding this entity. What is it exactly? Where did it come from? And most pressingly of all, why on earth and in the name of all holy hell does it choose to turn children into creepy little doll versions of themselves? What do you gain from that? Come on, Pixar, just do what we all want you to do and make a horror film, you cowards. And that's our list. The evils of Wednesday have been defeated once again. Ash vs. Evil Wed, the choppy hands have come out. Hiya, evil, it's gone, it's been chopped away, you're welcome. But if you were actually looking for more evil and my karate chop was too strong and sent it too far away, then you can go to the What Culture Gaming channel and check out another version of this list. I say another version, it's just another horror list on video game stuff instead, but I'm going to be over there in the Premiere chat talking all things spooky and just having a nice time, so I hope I can see you there too, and you can have a nice time too. In the meantime, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, sacrifice firstborn child to the overlords of What Culture. Ooh, I'm getting too fast at saying that, it's turning into one big slur. Either way, check out What Culture Gaming for more horror stuff. If not, I'll see you again next week, but preferably do. Thank you for watching. Bye!